Hey darts fans, that's Timo Newman here, the transporter. Welcome to the Good Ship Undarted Waters. We're on a little voyage around the harbour in this mini-series of 3 short videos. And it's down to earth, bread and butter. In fact, it's not even bread and butter. It's roast potatoes, parsnips and sprouts. But it's just basic training videos to help with scoring for 501. So it's 20 segment kind of focused. And this is the second of the 3 videos. So just got a nice little, I don't even know what that is. What's that? 63, I guess. Nice grouping of darts there. Grouping is a topic that we'll get to in a future video. That's a really important thing. But today is, as I warned in the previous video, something that's good for us, like parsnips, but maybe not to everybody's taste. Okay. It's a practice sort of a drill, and it's very straightforward. So basically 20 segment and getting a certain number of darts in the 20 segment without any errors. And if you are a relative newcomer to darts up to a, let's say, a moderately good player, you might want to aim to try and get 10 darts in a row in the 20 segment. If you're a more experienced player, or you've got a level that's relatively high, you can aim to get 20 darts in a row in the 20 segment. And that's all there is to this drill. When I started to improve late last year, I had this, I set myself this challenge. I think it was actually last September. I want to get 20 darts in the 20 segment, and I called it the 2020 challenge. And I finally did it. I was very happy, and I never went near it again because it's not exactly a very pleasant thing. So you can see this more of a challenge if you like, but it's also quite a good training drill. I do not do this every day. I don't eat my parsnips every day, okay? So it really is anywhere in the 20 segment. You know, you're probably going to be aiming in the middle of the big number, in the big single there. If you drift down towards the treble and the small single, of course, you're in great danger of hitting the 5s or the 1s. Before I have a go at this, so I do want to show you some calculations I did. Very straightforward, but let me just show you these. I've got the board light off, just like I did yesterday, because now it's getting very gloomy here in Scotland. And you see, if I have my board light on, it's way too much glare and you can't see where the darts are landing. So when I give this a go in a minute, my excuse for not doing very well will be that I can't see the board. You see, it's very gloomy. But what I'll do is I'll try and give it a good crack, though I might do different takes just so I can show you a decent go at it. But I did some straightforward calculations here. Let me just turn this other light off here. Right, I hope you can see that okay. I know it's a little bit dark, I apologize. But basically, one of the first videos I made on this channel was something called measuring your segment accuracy. And it's basically, what's the chance of a given dart going into a segment that you're aiming for? Okay, and if you're a beginner, that might be like 30 or 40%. If you're a sort of a good club player, you might be getting up to 70, 80%, and the elite players will be 95% plus, you know. But what we can do is say for a person with a given segment accuracy, so for a person, let's say, who has a 80% chance that their dart will go in the segment they're aiming for, what is the chance that they will succeed at this 2020 drill? So 20 consecutive darts in the 20 segment, okay. So just for example, if you have an 80% segment accuracy, your odds of completing this are 1 in 87. So you'd need, you know, you'd need like 50 or 60 goes to have a pretty good chance of completing this, okay. If you had a 90% segment accuracy, it gets much better. It's 1 in 8, but it's still 1 in 8. You see, even if you're a 90% accuracy player, which is better than I am, I think I'm probably in between 80% and 90%. But a 90%, that's a good segment accuracy, but it's still hard to get 20 consecutive darts in the 20 segment. And it's made me realize, you know, doing these simple calculations here about the elite players, because, you know, the Gerwin Prices and the Luke Littlers, they very rarely miss a 20 segment. So their segment accuracy must be something like 97, 98% for them to be so reliable, okay? So I think this is a big difference between amateurs and professionals is, you know, good amateurs can do all kinds of wonderful shots, but the professionals, they just are so consistent with their segment accuracy. You know, maybe a really good amateur maybe have 90% segment accuracy, a professional 95% plus. But the reason I've made this table is you see that if your segment accuracy starts to drop, if you're, say, a player with a 60% segment accuracy, so sort of moderately good player, you need 27, you know, your odds of getting 20 consecutive darts in a 20 segment are 1 in 27,000. So do not try the 2020 challenge at first. Wait till you're a bit better. You want to maybe try 10 consecutive darts. So I've done these odds for a kind of the demi-challenge of 10 consecutive darts. So if you're a 60% player, maybe you can see your odds are 1 in 165. So that's actually quite doable. I wonder if I put this, is that a bit easier to see? Maybe you can see this a bit better with the board light on there. But so I won't go through this whole table, but you can have it on the YouTube video, and depending on your segment accuracy, you can say, well, do I want to go for the 20 consecutive darts or for the 10 consecutive darts? But you really want to be an 80% accuracy player or higher to try the 2020 challenge. But you could try 10 consecutive darts even if you are a 60% accuracy player. If you're a 50% accuracy player, this is, like I described in that first series of these videos, a very bad place to be, because you, as you'll know from that first series if you've seen it, it's very hard to score well, basically, and you can be beaten by actually players that are not as good as you if they know what to do. So 50% accuracy is a place that everyone wants to get away from. Definitely try to be 60, 70 plus, and that way you can beat a lot of less good players, even if they know what to do to try and beat you, okay? So less good players can do things like aim for the 7 segment or aim for the 1 segment and actually score quite well. But you see, even if you're a 50% player, the 10 consecutive darts in the 20 segment is like 1 in 1,000 odds. So that's definitely a place to try and get away from, just by these drills. Actually, these drills, yesterday's, today's, and the next one, will be all about improving accuracy and consistency on the 20 segment. So given that I'm in between 80 and 90%, the chance of me doing the 20 consecutive darts is low. So it's very unlikely that I'll be able to do it for this video. But my odds are pretty good for doing 10 in a row. Okay, so not first time, but I should be able to get that in a few goes. So what I'll do is a few takes and give you a decent showing of this kind of challenge, right? The 2020 challenge. So let's put the whiteboard away. I'll turn this other light back on again to give more light. There we go. And we'll see how we get on. And if I'm rubbish on this first go, I'll just do another take. Right, here we go. So just want as many consecutive darts as possible at the 20 segment. Okay, doing another take. Okay, so that's 3, and you see I had to put the board light on because it was too gloomy. I couldn't really see the board well enough, but I hope it's not glaring too much. That's 3, let's just keep going here. You have to keep a very loose arm for this. Any tension and you're liable to veer off. So that's 6. Okay, that's us with 9 by the skin of our teeth there. Let's try and get it over 10 to start with here. Okay, so that's 12, that's pretty good. I'll just keep going Maybe we can even get to 20 if we have a bit of luck. Wow, okay, 15. The heat is on now, the pressure's on. Got to keep that loose arm. Okay, 18. Can we do 2 more? Keep relaxed. Keep that loose arm, don't fret, just aim. Well, that's wonderful. That's really wonderful. So I think that's 21. Should we just go a bit further? This has been a bit of luck today to be able to do this. Wow, it's the best I've ever done. I can't believe it. On camera. I'll just keep going. Maybe I can get to 30. I don't know. Oh, there we go. I relaxed, and that was the end. So I think that was 26. Oh, I hope you like parsnips, is all I can say. This is not very pleasant. You know, that was quite stressful to do that, actually. When you first hear this, you think, oh, that's not too bad. You just have to hit the big single or the segment a certain number of times. But it's surprising how tricky that is. You know, I think you saw the board there with all of the odds on. That's why this is good practice, because it kind of humbles us. You know, that we have to realize that hitting even the 20 segment consistently to be good at, say, 501 is not in any way a straightforward feat, and that's what separates people that win 501, you know, let's say in club play or tournament play, particularly at the amateur level. It's just that consistency. It's not getting the occasional 140 or 180. It's just hammering in those 60s and 100s over and over again. You're going to win so many games. That's why this is a good drill. So definitely, if you're a beginner player, maybe try and do 2 visits in a row where all 6 darts go in the 20 segment. And if you're moderately good, go for 10 in a row, then 15, and if you've got fairly good accuracy, then go for this 20-20 challenge. But you saw from the odds there that your segment accuracy really needs to be around 80% for you to have any sort of real chance of doing that. But that's why we do these drills. It's not about trying to do it. By trying to do it, you get better and better, and then you will do it, you know, once you've improved your accuracy. Phew! Gonna take a rest after this. So with that, my friends, I'll see you hopefully tomorrow for the 3rd short video in this series with a serving of sprouts. Even more an acquired taste, but definitely really good for us, full of iron. So with that, 3 darts at the Oki. Thank you everyone for your support. I hope you're well, and I'll see you next time.